Dramatic moments on divorce court.
You know, Miss Barron, I want you to take a moment to get yourself.
I'm over it, but and I feel like I was broken then and I'm still broken.
My husband is a liar, a cheater, a deceiver. I feel like I married my enemy and I'm done.
Cheating, lying, being sneaky. Unfortunately, Danny Huntington is found guilty in all three. Nicole Barron said love is not the problem, but she's had enough and is ready to end this relationship. Danny's defense is that Nicole's insecurities are the problem.
I felt like he was pretty low-key and just not necessarily out there, but then I actually got to know Mr. Hannigan for who he is, and things just changed over time.
How did it go from he was funny and fun to hang out? What you say is sneaky, unreliable kinds of behavior.
Sneaky, lying, and cheating. That's what it was.
The trifecta.
Oof, I've never witnessed an accusation as huge as this. Nicole accused Danny of creating a fake profile of her on social media so that he can DM her friends to talk about her personal life. She recently had a miscarriage 2 months after getting pregnant with Danny. She hasn't had the time to grieve because of the treatment she's getting from him.
One night I was at an event. I work with artists. So one night I was leaving and he asked to walk me out just to make sure that I got safely to my car, right? I'm getting to my car, we're saying our goodbyes. He gives me a hug and literally lurking out of I don't know where he came from, Your Honor, but came out of nowhere. Here come this fool with his homeboys confronting my friend.
Since when did hugging the opposite sex count as cheating? Danny organized some other guys and went to Nicole's place of work to harass her friend. He saw her hugging her coworker, a male who was also her friend, who was kind enough to walk her to her car. He hugged her. Danny jumped out of his hiding place and started harassing him.
He put his hand on the door, on the knob, to make sure that I got into my car safely.
If I was not there, Your Honor, she would have went in the car.
I would have not gone with him. I have never gone with anybody.
They were walking out arm in arm.
Yes. We're gonna make it home and be just fine.
So do you actually think that she was cheating or were you just being sneaky?
Listen, I think I caught her before anything could happen.
Danny invited Nicole on a dinner date, but because Nicole was busy with work, she had to turn down the offer. She felt bad after and decided to surprise Danny. She shows up at the restaurant and meets Danny at the same restaurant with another woman. She confronts both of them, but ends up being chased around in the parking lot by this woman.
First of all, I want to know how he paid for it, because the last time he took me out, it was like struggling to find out which card you're gonna use. And this girl actually confronts me, because I'm like, Daniel, what the is going on? It turned into words between the two of us. It escalated to the point where now we about to get the scrapping, and she talking about she about to pull a strap on me, and she starts chasing me in the parking lot.
When their relationship began, Nicole caught Danny double dating another woman. He even gave out Nicole's address to the other woman. The other woman suddenly shows up at Nicole's house and starts confronting her. Meanwhile, Danny has gone on at least 7 trips with this other woman.
I open the door and there's a girl standing outside of my apartment crying. I'm asking her, who is she? She tells me that she's his other girlfriend. He told me that I couldn't go to his place because his roommates at the time were a-holes. And he was like, I'm not gonna put my baby through that. Yeah, it's because he was living with her. And allegedly, he took her virginity too.
Nicole decided to surprise her boyfriend at his place of work. She didn't meet him at work, and since Danny has not been in her good books, she tracks him down. She pulls up at the driveway where his car was parked, enters the house, and finds Danny in the kitchen, getting his engine revved by another woman. Danny said he did it on purpose, but Nicole has had enough.
That did happen, but something else happened that led up to it.
There is not a daggone thing I need to hear after that. I don't care how it started. I don't care how it ended. All I care is that you are a sorry somebody to even come into this courtroom and try to make any case for anything.
Amanda Rodriguez and Alonzo Gordon started their love journey 8 years ago. They were not married, but they both recently had a child together. Things were well. However, Amanda said she was done with the relationship.
So I met Alonzo 8 years ago on social media. He responded in my DM asking if I was going. We didn't end up going together. I ended up going with one of my friends and he went with his friends. And then later on, we ended up catching up. We ended up dating. Everything was fun. We always used to go out, go on dates.
The first issue Amanda raised was the fact that Alonzo paid the bills last minute. Alonzo sees Amanda as someone who is too realistic and worries unnecessarily, and she just needed to have faith in him. But the woman was not ready to trust the guy who drove a car around knowing that the gas is low and there was no money to refill. Can Faith drive a car?
I am more faith. I don't want to say more, but I operate off of faith. I'm a lot of faith-based decisions, and she's very tapped into more reality. Let's say we're driving in the car, and this happens often, and then we're running out of gas or gas is getting low. I believe that we're going to get to our destination.
Alonzo was persistent with Amanda accepting for who he was. These are the words of someone that's not ready to change. How do you convince someone who sees no point in taking his babe on a date? Alonzo needed to step up his game, and Amanda said they had not gone out on a date in 3 years.
Do you go out on dates anymore? You started off going on dates.
So yes, so that's a real big argument that we have a lot. Date night is totally nowhere to exist. We haven't gone out on a date, I would say, in like 3 years now. I know due to COVID and having a baby changed a lot of things.
Alonzo was a delusional and narcissistic man that needs to snap back to reality. How far did he go? He spent a huge amount of money to obtain the Lord title, but doesn't see the point of going on dates. Doesn't that seem extreme to you? He bought land on Mars. He claimed he did it for their future, but unfortunately, no one has the right to own property outside of Earth.
He's delusional.
So, how much did you pay for this kind of land on Mars?
A hefty price, almost just as much as the Lord did.
So here's my question, where'd that money go? Who did you send the money to?
NASA.
I can guarantee you that NASA did not take a check. You got scammed.
I submitted my deed.
Pay
I
for
can
Mars.
counter that. Enough.
Been romantically involved for 5 years and married for 1.5 years, but this marriage was in shambles. Markeisha Holmes accused her husband of being a liar, a cheat, and a deceiver. Chris Holmes, on the other hand, denied these facts and said he's tired of being mistreated by his wife.
Well, I'm not a liar, and I'm definitely not a cheater, and I'm not her enemy. Things that has happened over the course of times has just been things that has happened equally, and I don't do well with mistreatment.
Markeisha found a fake text app on her husband's phone and decided to investigate. Turns out that Chris has been flirting with other women under the guise of an unknown number. In Chris's defense, he downloaded a fake text app so that he could reach his wife when she was not picking up his calls.
Okay, ma'am, it was only 2, and what happened is we had an argument prior to that, and I was just not feeling the whole situation, so what I did was download the app, because when I was calling her, she wasn't answering my phone call.
Oh, you downloaded the app so that it would mask your number so that she wouldn't know it was you calling.
That's not all. Chris left the house with the only car they had and disappeared for a month. His defense was that Markeisha was complaining about being fed up with him, so he decided to grant her request. How did these two get on this stage in a marriage that is under 2 years?
What had happened in your relationship that had gone from we just got married and are in bliss?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like I've told many people.
On top of I had just gave birth.
Right, and she has been saying that postpartum stuff for a while. I understand, but I'm not too big on thinking every single attitude, every single word that you say to me is put on.
Markeisha complained that Chris disrespected her in front of her mother and the infant of his coworker. It doesn't end there. She accused Chris of reporting her to this coworker in question. That's not all. The coworker called Markeisha to talk about the issue. How did she get Markeisha's number if Chris is claiming not to have given out her number?
Another night, he decided not to come home. I mysteriously get an unknown phone call.
Yeah, because she
I called
plays
the
with
number
phones.
back.
As I say, every time I look up,
It's
she
this
does
young
weird
lady.
stuff with telephones.
Of course, I call him. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how this has
Mrs. Holmes,
happened.
how did she get your number?
I have no idea.
Judge Starr asked Markeisha if she likes her husband. The expression on her face says a lot more than the answer she gave about being disgusted by her husband. The couple disrespect each other verbally and call themselves names. Such a toxic environment to raise a child in. They need to work on their communication if they want to save their marriage.
I'm disgusted with my husband.
He has done or said you no longer believe him or trust him when it comes to other women. It's whether or not you're both willing. It's whether or not you're both willing to put this relationship to the test of having someone else listen to the both of you and help you learn how to communicate.
This case is that of Ashley Williams and Joshua Davis. Joshua says he is fed up with constantly being accused of cheating and agrees to the fact that he has cheated in the past. Interestingly, this couple has been together for 6 years and engaged for 2 years. He was still communicating with his ex a month and a half into their relationship. Can you beat that?
I
I found out because she ended up hitting me up on social media because I posted a picture of me and Josh, and she replies to the picture and she's like, oh, so you're dating Josh? I'm like, yes, ma'am, I am. She said, well, I find that funny because I'm with Josh. And the last time I checked, Josh, you told me you weren't seeing anyone.
So his ex told you that they were still in a relationship.
Caught red-handed sexting with his coworker, he claims that he and Ashley were on a break from the relationship at that time. What does an actual break mean? Because these two were still living together in the same room, in the same bed. He claimed to pay the bills and Ashley contributed nothing. Yet, he banned her from working.
You can't let somebody control what your destiny is. And yes, you can be a wonderful provider, Mr. Davis, but you don't get credit for stuff you're supposed to do. You don't get kudos for doing what you're supposed to do. Yes, she's supposed to be grateful that you're a good provider, but you're not supposed to stop her from growing in her own space.
Caught yet again with another ex. This ex in particular sends a picture of her boobs in Joshua's hand to Ashley. Guess what? All Joshua had to say was that he had gloves on and he was just giving her a tattoo. This is just like giving a lame excuse of being dressed while caught in the act of cheating.
I get another inbox on social media from someone we both know that he's dealt with in his past. She sends me a picture, Mr. Davis doing a tattoo with her boob in his hand. I wait for him to come home.
I had on gloves.
Everything is a joke to him.
Hey, Mr. Davis said I had my PPE together. What more do you want?
It's not even funny.
With occasional emotional breakdowns, Ashley complained that Joshua is not emotionally available to her. His excuse is that he doesn't want her thinking about bad times. This isn't what you tell a woman who lost both her sons in a house fire and her mom the year after her sons died. All these happened before she met Joshua, but she had 3 miscarriages with him.
You all need to at least find out what each other's love language is and start talking to each other in that language. Because that ring that sits on your finger means absolutely nothing if it does not represent the love that is between the two people.
Christina Craig complained that her boyfriend, John Pickett, uses her past and God to taunt her every time, and she believes that their ship has sailed. John, on the other hand, believes that his job is to fix her and help Christina do better.
Your Honor, we're here because my boyfriend is self-centered. He's a narcissist to me. He uses my past and God to taunt me, and I want some resolution or I'm out of here.
So you are not fooling around anymore. Miss Craig has laid down the gauntlet, Mr. Pickett. What do you say to those allegations, sir?
Everything that you just said is what I believe is not true.
A closer look into Christina's past. Christina lost her mother some time ago, joined the military, and then went through trauma. As a result, John emotionally abuses her. Anytime she complains or gets angry about something that John does wrong, he always attributes it to her aggressive past. Instead of him dealing with the issue, he brings up her past every time.
We exchanged numbers. We started dating. I've been through a lot of stuff in life as far as my mom abandoned me and I was in the military and I had, trauma, PTSD. And so he tries to use my past against me.
So you're feeling emotionally abused, quite frankly.
Yes, Your Honor.
Aside from this, Christina is also very insecure about Joshua's conversation with women. What's the extent of her insecurity? She said he discusses things he should be discussing with her with these women and flirts with them too. There was a time he reached out to over 30 random women. Over 30?
He is a ladies' man. He talks to a lot of women, and then when I catch him talking to the women, he tells me I shouldn't care that he's talking to the women as long as he's not sexing them. And he calls me insecure, and I'm like, you're talking to females while we're in a relationship. You're telling females that you're single, well, he's told one female that he was single, and then I've called him numerous of other times.
To top this issue, she said that he is self-centered and manipulates her financially. Let's take a closer look at the manipulation. She decided to grant his wish and went all out to do so. She was expecting him to at least support her financially, but he didn't. He said he didn't ask her to, and it was her choice. Joshua said it's a thing she does, where she gets him gifts only to make bigger requests.
Why are you in this relationship? Why do you want to be here? It doesn't seem like he's making you happy. Help me to understand that.
I don't know. I love him, and I know love is not enough, and I fought myself for investing in a maybe or, a potential because it made me angry and bitter because I invested in not getting reciprocation.
Kat Sims and Edward Carter have been together for 3 years and engaged for a year and a half. She then moved to another city. The issue was that Edward refused to move. She said they were both on the same page to move.
I'm trying to figure out where we're going exactly. We started off in the clouds, everything was peaceful.
It always starts that way, girl.
Exactly. We were equally yoked, right? No, wrong. Everything changed. I moved over to Atlanta. We were supposed to move together. It's 6 months later and you're still not in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta. Why are you not here?
All right.
Edward later confessed that he led her on to believe that he was ready to move after she'd moved and established a whole new residence there. He claimed to still have unfinished business for his already established music career. The initial agreement was that he would move to expand his career.
The intent was for her to come up here and establish the house and stuff first, right? Like I said, situations change, you know what I'm saying? Like I have kids, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
That's art in Alabama. And then the communication part, like when I do try to explain certain things to her, it overrides. She only hears what she wants
So
to hear.
you telling me your life in Alabama has not been wrapped up enough for you to move to Atlanta yet?
Not really, yeah, no.
After Kat moved, she started to see compromising pictures of Edward with random groupies. He didn't stop there. He released a new song, and Kat wasn't even tagged. She got to hear the song through a third party. Edward claims that the song was based on Kat, but it's for every woman. How?
I honestly think it's the groupies because they didn't exist when we were both in Alabama. But when I started going more up to Atlanta and I finally moved out there, all of a sudden they were just everywhere and all over the place.
But is he a successful artist?
He is successful. He has great music. He has a great talent.
That's not all. Edward traveled down to the same city where Kat now resides to attend an event with his side chick. This was after he told Kat that he wasn't attending the program. Edward didn't stop there. He started hitting on Kat's best friend. Instead of Kat being grateful, she started casting blame on her best friend.
Okay, well that kind of sounds like you kind of set this up on your own though. Regardless, you responded, so you're still in the mud. You shouldn't have talked to her at all. Why are you following him? Why are y'all talking on Instagram?
It shouldn't be no reason on who following me.
Listen, this is not Miss Thomas's fault. The best thing that you could do is take your girl out for a drink, dog him out for a couple of minutes, and never think about his sorry behind again.